Ladies and gentlemen, it's me, the Mullet Man, Travis Hinton. You're watching Five Star Takes, and I'm here to show you what Mullet Mania is all about. Be sure to tune in now on YouTube.
Shane, I don't think I've ever seen that look in your eyes.
Sorry, I was thinking about the inevitable Gigi Dolan World Heavyweight Championship reign.
Oh boy,
Gigi Dolan is the one.
Oh my God, we're not even 20 seconds in, and you've already, oh boy. You know what?
I can see it now. It's the end of WrestleMania. Whoever she's beaten, probably Seth Rollins, is supine on the canvas, and Michael Cole says, "Somewhere out there, Priscilla Kelly is smiling." Damn it.
You're supposed to say that for the end of the show, but I think you know. I'm sure
you never know. You never know when it's coming at this point. It's totally inhibition driven.
You know, you do realize like I can control your mic.
You gonna suppress my voice, Dennis? Are you a tyrant?
Try me.
Priscilla Kelly is the turn my shit back on. No.
How you doing, buddy?
I am good. I'm a little bit sleepy today. It's later than what we normally go, but we're doing well.
And a little peek behind the curtain. We're hoping to go the other day. That didn't work out. Today was looking doubtful, and Shane decided, you know what, I'm free, so let's put out a new episode. And before we get going into the wrestling, I just want to talk real quick. So some of you guys know, especially if you've watched the latest episode of Shooting Shit, you probably already know that. And if you haven't, go check them out on YouTube. You can find the link on the Shooting Shit Facebook page, or just go to their page on YouTube at SHOTINGSHT to get the access to the latest episode, as well as all old episodes. You can find all our old episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/at 5 Star Takes. But one of the commercials that we always run at the end of the show is a commercial for my friend Jimmy, who listens to both shows and has been a friend of mine for over 20 years. He just recently he's been talking about Superpowers comics for a long time. It's a project something he's been wanting to do for a while. He just recently finally got the site up and running, and I just want to start the show off by announcing that this show, along with Shooting Shit, we are ones that are big supporters of Superpower comics, and we've worked with Jimmy at Superpowers to bring you this special deal. If you're looking for comic books, I know Shane likes to read books. I don't know if he likes to read comic books.
Not so much, but I might have to pick up a couple and give them a real shot.
Well, when you do that, make sure you go to superpowercomics.com, and if you go online and use the code 5STAR, that's the number 5 STAR, just like in our logo in the upper left hand corner of the screen, you can save 25% off your first order at superpowers.comics.com.
Yeah, I mean that's saving a quarter. That's a it's a wonderful sale, and really, really, really cool to be able to bring that to everybody. I hope everybody goes and gives Superpower Comics a look, and utilizes that really nice discount code.
Yeah, and that was very nice of Jimmy to offer that, and stuff, because we all know, especially nowadays, comics ain't cheap. I think the average price of a book is like $4 or $5 now.
Oh man, no, it's more than that, Dennis. For like new books, I think new books you're looking at probably 15 or 20 a piece.
Nah, it depends, I think, and stuff. So
Are they doing like $4 and $5 comics?
I think like for the basic ones. I mean, I know
Wow.
like variant covers and all this stuff. But
that's
way anyways, Jimmy's a good dude. He's very passionate. He's been in the comics business for a number of years and is just looking to kind of get back into it. He's also a big wrestling fan, and again, I've been friends with him for over 20 years, and is one of the most genuinely decent guys I know. So help him out. He loved and appreciate the business. And even if you don't read comics and watch the show, if you know someone that does, tell them to watch the show, give them the code, have them go online, get some comics, save a little bit of money, and help a friend out.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, if you enjoy comics or you're looking to get into comics, this is a great time to take a look and take a swing on something.
Remember that code is to save 25% off your first order is the number 5 STAR, just like in our logo in the upper left-hand corner. So was a lot of really good wrestling over the last couple of days. Starting at this past Sunday with AEW Revolution. I watched it online. I found a place. I'm just going to leave it at that. To watch it, and for the most part, it was a really enjoyable show. Then came the main event, which kind of in my eyes, left something to be desired, especially with the ending, and considering that they wasted Christian's cash in that he won at I believe it was last year's All in Wembley. So we'll see what happens with that.
So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, and I'll just say off the top, I did not watch what was it, Revolution?
Mm-hmm.
I did not watch Revolution. I did not watch Dynamite this week. Other than I did watch one match on Dynamite, but we can get to that a little bit later.
I'm anxious to see which one that was.
But yeah, I mean, from everything I saw, it looked like a wonderful pay-per-view, which is not shocking. AEW's in-ring work is the best thing that they do. It has been the best thing that they've done for a long time now, and more often than not, their pay-per-views are quality. But yeah, just talking about the main event for a second. For once, I think I'm in the minority. I don't hate the Death Riders as much as everyone else, but it's funny to look at that and then think about some of the other bookers who would do things like that and just so totally give the middle finger to fans, you know what I mean, and do something that at this point is getting like go away heat, you know what I mean? Like it's not getting the right amount of heat. You do what you did, which is have Christian cash in his Money in the Bank Seth Rollins style, but lose. So like you said, you've wasted that. I mean, but you think about it. I mean, that's like Vince with no competition decision. You know what I mean? That's like that's like an Eric Bischoff booking NWO. You know what I mean? Like weird, just so. I think the right word is tone deaf, right?
That's I could see. I see that. Yeah.
Like, and it just seems like I don't know, for whatever reason, Tony Khan is just so interested in pissing people off, in a time when I think that they need to be doing as much as they possibly can to retain viewership and hopefully get some people back. I mean, again, I don't get into the whole tribalism thing. It doesn't matter to me how well either company is doing, but just from a business perspective, looking at attendance. Yeah, I mean, it's seems like Tony should be interested in bringing more people back, and
my whole thing is like you said, you said you're in the minority and don't hate the Death Rider. I've gone on record and I've said I'm a huge Jon Moxley fan. I think he's one of the best wrestlers out there. I believe he is the face of AEW. I guess my thing is I don't hate the Death Riders. I don't like this story. I guess maybe I just don't really understand it, and it's very rare that I've ever said like I don't feel like I don't understand what's going on with the storyline. Like I think this may be one of the only times I've ever said that as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, well, again, Moxley has never, and this was my, I was laughing at this when he first formed them, was he's just beating people up and going, I did that because they deserved it. It's right. Like, what? Like, that's like somebody older than you, bullying you and just making you punch yourself. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
Like my brother used to do to me when I was a kid.
Yeah, and he's never really given a reason that there's no reason why they're carrying around the belt, in the fucking
the briefcase
case, because you people don't deserve to see the belt. For what? Like what has happened to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I don't understand it, and I felt like they missed out on a golden opportunity because, again, a lot of people don't really understand what's going on with this Death Rider storyline. I think Tony Khan needs to kind of maybe just count his losses or take the money and run on this, and I think what they could have done, and I think this would have really, gotten people going and in a good way, is I feel like what should have happened is that Cope would beat Mox, and everybody go crazy. Then all of a sudden, like just out of nowhere, like the hooded figure or whatever, which was Christian, or somebody comes in the ring, clock's edge with the hooded figure comes in clock's edge with something. He knocks him out. Then he reveals himself to be Christian. He signs his contract. Cashes in, and then gets in the ring and pins Colt 1, 2, 3, and is your champion. That place would have started rioting if they had gone that route, and I think that would have been the best possible outcome, because Christian right now, I'll even say this, and this is I don't do these 5-star hot takes very often, but this is one that I'm gonna go out with, and I'm gonna not necessarily go out on a limb and stuff, because I truly believe this. I feel like Christian is the best heel in AEW right now. I think he's a better heel than MJF.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of lump Christian and MJF into the same category right now, where they have their shtick, right? They have their particular brand of heel, and they just do it and do it and do it. You know what I mean? I will say that I would rather watch Christian at this point, certainly.
Well, yeah, and the reason why I say that is because with MJF, you still hear a smattering of cheers here and there. I think with Christian Cage, nobody's cheering him, or if it is, it's like the cheers are not audible like they can be still with MJF.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and Christian is at the very least, he does some different stuff with him and his group. Anytime I see MJF with a microphone at this point, I'm like, here we go. Here comes some, just horrible thing.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody in here, your mom has, herpes. And I'm like, okay.
Right. It's the same old. It's the same old and stuff, And I that's another reason why I feel like Christian's better. But again, just my take.
No. I mean, I like I said, I 100% agree with you. I am also kind of tired of Christian and the Father of the Year, deal. But it's way more interesting to me right now than MJF. So
yeah,
I think we're in the same boat.
But kind of going back to Revolution, I mean, that was really the only not bad thing. I thought pretty much everything else in the show. I mean, you had the cage match with Ospreay and Fletcher, which I thought was amazing and one of the best steel cage matches that I've watched. Obviously, there's another cage match we're going to be talking about in a little bit as well that has it gets really kind of. I think a lot of people were big fans of, including myself, but for different reasons. But you had that. Then you had
real quick. Sorry,
shout
out to the Spanish Fly, off of the cage, to the mat from Ospreay to Kyle Fletcher. I mean, it legitimately one of the most insane bumps spots I've seen in a very long time.
I watched that when I was watching it and I saw that. I kind of watched with bated breath because I was just thinking, oh my God, please just don't, please nobody get hurt here because that could have been really bad.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a big cage too.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, very tall. Yeah, crazy spot. Sorry, go ahead and take it away.
No. I was gonna say you also had that great match with Swerve and Ricochet, and Ricochet has been killing it since he's been in AEW, and it's crazy to think that he's been doing all this work as a heel, and it's working for him.
Yeah, no, I mean Ricochet is one of the few people I can truly say I think has gone to AEW and grown. As a talent and as a performer. I mean, AEW and who knows, maybe WWE just never saw it and so they didn't allow it. But it seems like being in AEW has really unlocked personality, for Ricochet.
I agree.
And he's been definitely doing his thing, as a full blown, annoying dastardly heel. He needs to start stringing some wins together. But
agreed. But in the same token, where you said about Ricochet growing in AEW and kind of being able to flourish a little bit, I think you can say the same thing about Swerve as well.
Yeah, no, I mean 100%. I mean, and the thing I think that sucks the most about Swerve is I feel like if WWE would have committed to that hit row gimmick at the time, I feel like he could have been just as big as what he is, just different. You know what I mean? Obviously, his character wouldn't be as sadistic. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
But
no, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, if they would have pulled the trigger at that point, I feel like it would have happened. But no, I mean, going to AEW was obviously a really great move for Swerve as well. I mean, and there's definitely some other names, right? I mean, I think Christian has benefited.
Agreed.
Massively. I think that Moxley has benefited, massively.
I think Cody did, and I think Cody Rhodes did as well too during this time there, and it kind of set him up to go back to the WWE, and obviously what he's doing now.
Yeah, no, I mean 100,000,000%. Cody's not as big as what as he is if AEW doesn't exist.
And then also speaking of someone else who's really flourished in AEW, and I think probably maybe more than just about anybody else, That women's title match with Toni Storm and Mariah May, the Hollywood ending. What a way to cap off one of the greatest feuds, in women's wrestling history. I mean, that match was insane. Both women bled like crazy. It was unreal. But I mean, you got to throw Toni Storm in there. I arguably she's the most popular women's wrestler on the planet right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, 100%. And the once again, I think that the thing with Toni Storm is she already had a couple really good runs in WWE. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it was already there. I wouldn't describe Ricochet's main roster run as really good. You know what I mean? I would describe it as good. I think Ricochet had a really good run in NXT. But I mean, Toni Storm had good runs on all phases of the roster. She
I don't
just
know if I would necessarily agree with her run on the main roster. I mean, I feel like in
she was
NXT
she
and
was
NXT
champ,
UK,
right?
no, she never. I don't
No,
think she
she
ever won.
never won. I thought that she won like the Raw Championship like once. No,
No, I don't believe
oh,
she's
okay.
ever. I know she was NXT Women's Champion, and I believe she was also the
NXT UK.
NXT UK Women's Champion.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, I just don't think the success she had in the NXT brands ever translated to the main roster.
Oh, well, I am incorrect, sir. So yeah, no, I mean, but I mean, regardless of any of that, she definitely fits that category.
Right.
AEW, again, I didn't watch the match, but AEW does women's hardcore matches. I mean, I would say better than, I mean, probably any promotion in the world, really.
Yeah, I would say probably the only one that I've seen a more hardcore women's match would probably be GCW.
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, and they go crazy, but I also, when GCW does the death match stuff, again, it's from everything I read, that women's match was close, but the panes of glass to me is a different. It's still wrestling. It's just a different category entirely.
Agreed. I would agree.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, good for them. That match, I think, clearly should have headlined the pay-per-view.
I agree there with that too. But let's move on to what happened in the WWE. And obviously, they were in Madison Square Garden on Monday and Tuesday night. NXT was in the theater at Madison Square Garden. But there was a lot of really good action over those last couple of days. And we mentioned the cage match with Ospreay and Fletcher earlier. The cage match with Rollins and Punk, I think, was just as good as the cage match between Ospreay and Fletcher, but for different reasons. And I really liked the storytelling in that match. And both guys, had a chance to walk out the door, and the other guys, you want to win that way. They basically baited the other to, come back in and continue the fight, which you really don't. I don't think it's been so long since I feel like I've seen something like that in a cage match, and I loved it. I thought the thing is obviously it also featured the return of the tribal chief Roman Reigns, and possibly set up the whatever the WrestleMania plans for Roman, Punk, and Rollins, which looks like we're heading towards a triple threat that like I said, I don't do these 5-star hot takes often, but this is going to be my second one. I honestly feel like for the longest time, I think I'd said Gunther versus Jey Uso was going to main event night one, and it was going to end on Jey Uso yeeting with, however many people they fit in that crowd, like 50, 60, whatever, thousand and stuff.
See, I think that opens the show, man.
I'm starting to think that that's going to be the case, because to me, you can't put a match on if this indeed comes to fruition with Rollins, Punk, and Roman, and it not main event, because obviously we know what's going to main event night two, and that's going to be Cody versus Cena. But I feel like this match here is going to main event night one, and rightfully so, because it's going to have a really intriguing story. What's the favor Punk had? Punk has, Payman has to return for Punk, and all that. And it's just, I think it's going to be a great way to end night one.
Yeah, no, I mean the cage match was very, very good. It was definitely what I would assume a little bit more old school than the Osprey Fletcher
Absolutely,
cage match.
absolutely.
But I mean, it wasn't without some great bumps. You
Mhm.
had Punk taking the superplex, kind of all hanging off the top of the cage.
Yep.
Seth hit him with a really nice buckle bomb into the cage, just a really, really nasty fall. Really got scraped up good, hit the ropes nice and crumpled. But yeah, like you said, I mean, they told a really great story. And it was just a great way to set up, what I think is pretty clearly at this point that triple threat match you were talking about.
You mentioned you mentioned all the story, what you just mentioned about the cage match and stuff too. You also too during that match, not only did like each competitor kick out of their opponent's finisher, they also, I believe, kicked out of their own finish. Like, Punk did
Yes.
the curb stomp on Rollins. Rollins kicked out. Rollins did the GTS on Punk, and Punk kicked out. I mean, these guys literally threw everything that they had in their arsenal at each other.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, it was a really, really excellent end to Raw, but I do think that we can't move forward without touching on the fact that WWE, I think, unnecessarily censored some middle fingers in the match. Very annoying and not necessary. That it's a steel cage match. This is a grudge fight. I think that especially when you don't have to deal with a network, and like 3 weeks ago you had a guy say fuck on your programming. I don't think a couple middle fingers is going to tip the scale one direction or the other.
Yeah, considering what all is out there on Netflix that people have access to, anyways, there's a lot worse out there than, like you said, a couple of middle fingers.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it was a super needless distraction from an otherwise S tier Raw main event. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of Raw was what else happened on Raw, Dennis? I feel like
I know. I believe Jey Uso and Gunther went at it again.
Yeah.
And I believe Gunther continued to get.
Oh yeah, Chad. Oh, I mean, we should talk about the luchador who hopped over the guardrail and took out Rey Mysterio. He had a red, white, and blue mask and did a thank you. And later on in the night, Kathy Kelly was interviewing Chad Gable, sans mask or anything, and I mean, it was funny because she was cooking him, right? She was like, look, I'm not stupid, you were that luchador. And then of course there's somebody getting arrested in the luchador costume who looks very confused,
right.
Does not look like they want to belong there. So that's pretty fun, kind of how they did that. And it's I think that it's going to be Chad Gable's version of Mr. America. I think that that's what we're going to do.
Senor America.
Yeah, and I think that that's awesome.
Now, Chad Gable is someone who is really just grossly, I think, underutilized in that company, underrated, and it's just because he is so good.
Yeah, no, I am never sad to see a Chad Gable match on Raw. Never. I will say that I think that he's doing great as a heel. I think that he's a little bit more of a natural, sympathetic babyface. To me, I think that when he was with, the Alpha Academy, I think that that's when he clicked the most, just being the charismatic, underdog, small guy, but he's doing great. In the what the hell are they called now? The
American Made.
Yeah, American Made. But yeah, he's doing great as their leader as well. I'll be excited to see him versus Ray at WrestleMania.
It's gonna be something. I see where Penta fits in all of this. But kind of going in also too about what happened in Mania. We had AJ Styles calling out Logan Paul and
Oh yes,
them going at it, and it looks like that's probably we're gonna see that at Mania, which I think low key could be. I think it could really be good, just because I think those two, AJ and Logan Paul, I think their styles seem to appear to be, at least to me, to be very similar.
yeah, no, I mean if AJ Styles is interested, and I'd be willing to bet that AJ Styles is going to have I'm going to get the best match of this guy's career out of him mindset. You know what I mean? Going in. Yeah. I mean, it could, really be a dark horse, contender for match of that day. Certainly. I'm worried, man, because it's been a real long while since Logan has gotten a big victory. And, let's be honest here. It's AJ Styles. Like, he's pretty much yeah, I mean, he's uncrackable, reputation wise. So
yeah. So one other kind of big thing they had, you had the altercation, verbal altercation with Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley, which probably means that's going to be another triple threat match we're going to get. Then he also had Raquel Gonzalez, Raquel Rodriguez is what she goes by. I know she used to be Raquel Gonzalez, but she is now the number one contender for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, which I don't know what is going on, but I feel like that the Women's Intercontinental Championship has not really been and it's no disrespect to Lyra Valkyria because I think she's great, but I just feel like it's not been, the booking for around this title has not been good. I feel like the booking around Chelsea and the women's US title has been much better, but I mean, it is what it is and stuff. It's a mid-card title. It's, a way to get more women featured on the show, which is always a good thing. But that was basically about Raw. Is there anything else, or do you want to move on to talk about NXT?
No, we can talk about NXT, which here's my 5-star take of the week. I think that Roadblock has a really, really, really good chance to be television wrestling show of the year.
I know in our show chat, you had mentioned that it was like PLE or pay-per-view quality and stuff, which I agree with you 100%. That was an amazing show. And again, I keep telling everybody, I believe NXT is consistently the best weekly wrestling show out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, and honestly, Dennis, I think that this show deserves a little, match by match analysis from us. I think that it was that good.
All right, well, let's.
The show opened with the Hardys, who, by the way, got a huge reaction.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, I'm not either, but it was mega huge versus
Wrasslin.
Yeah, Wrasslin.
Which currently, I'm gonna say this: best tag team in wrestling currently right now is Wrasslin.
Yeah, I mean, they are both so good. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, the Hardys looked like the Hardys do in 2025. They wrestled an old school, Hardy's style match, and Wrasslin did what I would describe as most of the heavy lifting, and good for them. You ended up the match concluded with who was it? It was Axiom hitting Nathan Frazier, correct?
Right. Yes, I believe that was the case.
Yeah, with like a missile drop kick or something, some errant top rope maneuver. And then Nathan Frazier gets pinned, so it's definitely looking like we're finally, going to be pulling the trigger on the Fraxium, breakup, which I really think is unfortunate.
I was just gonna say the same thing. It's gotten to a point where I think if they were going to do it, they should have done it a while ago, because I think too many people, including myself, have really bought into this team, and I want to see them keep going, because they, like I said, currently the best tag team out there. And I believe there was a video that was on their social media, one of WWE's social media platforms, may have been X, may have been Instagram, I can't remember, but they were, I think, arguing in the locker room afterwards, and Bubba Ray Dudley came in and kind of, coached them or talked to them and said, hey, you've got nothing to be ashamed of, and was kind of maybe trying to get them on the same page, because I think he even said something along like, look, this bickering needs to stop, and that. And when you got someone like Bubba Ray Dudley, who's arguably one half of the most, maybe not necessarily the greatest tag team of all time, they're number 2 on my list, but I mean the most decorated tag team of all time when it comes to championships. I mean, that's got to hold some weight, and so yeah, I just hope that they keep these guys together, because as much as I wouldn't mind seeing a Nathan Frazier Axiom one-on-one match, I would rather see these two tear it up as a team still. And by the way, shout out to Axiom for having a really good showing against Gunther on SmackDown tonight.
Oh, wow. Axiom got a shot against Gunther?
Well, they were in Spain, and that's where
no
Axiom's
shit.
from.
Hey, good for him. But yeah, no, I just I don't like splitting them up. One, because I would also like to see more matches from them. Two, because let's be honest here, Raw could use an extra tag team, certainly. I'm not really sure about the state of SmackDown, but Raw could definitely use another tag team, and I don't mean this as any disrespect to either of these guys, but I mean, can you see either of them being taken super seriously as solo competitors on the main roster right now? I can't.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, no.
And you know what, Shane? You just earned yourself a
yes. But yeah, no, I mean, and it's way better now than what it was, 5 years ago, for more enhancement talent style guys. Like, even somebody like Akira Tozawa, right, is given important things to do, and I think is shown in as positive a light as he possibly can be, given the state of his character and where he is in the pecking order. But right. I mean, I think that the best thing that could happen Nathan Frazier wise right now is he ends up having a Ricochet style run, where he's just putting on really good matches and is kind of a
I've actually seen some of his stuff, like a couple times on Speed. I don't know if you've ever watched that on their Twitter page, but it's actually quite entertaining. And I believe when I went to SmackDown last June around June, I think it was my wife had taken me and my son, and it was part of like my Father's Day gift. They did a match for Speed, to tape for Speed, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Nathan Frazier was one of the competitors. And I mean, I think something like that is perfect for him. But yeah, that's just on that.
But I think I'd rather be Akira Tozawa than Speed champion.
But absolutely though, I think right now, I think if those two, they split them, that's going to be, especially if they get to the main roster, yeah, it's not going to be good for them. I think it would be in their best interest to stay together as a tag team, and if they're going to the main roster, because yeah, together I think they would be extremely exciting to watch on Mondays, or where probably I think they would wind up on Mondays.
Yeah, no.
Separately, while they would be fun to watch, I just don't think the outlook would be as bright for them. As
I mean, and just imagine War Raiders versus Fraxium. That'd be an awesome feud with some really, really great and fun matches.
Man, that would be some like the New Day versus Fraxium.
Yeah. So what? The next match was Jordan. What was it? Jordan Grace versus Roxy?
I believe so.
Yeah, not a world beater of a match, I would say, but it was a really excellently worked match. Just a really solid overall, pro wrestling match. I believe this was number one contendership, correct?
No, I don't think it actually
There was.
It was more or less just a match because there was some issues brewing, and I think this is a lot of people are saying, that this might officially be the last. We're close to the end of the run for Roxanne and the NXT roster before she goes up to the main roster.
You don't think they're going to find a place for on Stand and Deliver? They have to, right?
That would, that would be a really good send off for her. I agree.
I mean, she deserves it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I definitely deserves it. But I mean, also too, it was a way to kind of establish Jordynne Grace as a legitimate, threat on the women's roster, especially when it comes to the championship situation.
Yeah, no, I think that Jordynne Grace is, I don't think that they want to have Vicaire hold both belts for very long. I could see her taking, one of the belts off of Vicaire at Stand and Deliver, certainly.
I do something like that. I agree, because I think Jordynne Grace is someone
that she's ready.
Yeah, she is. I think she was ready. She's been ready for a long time for this, but great match. Obviously, Jordynne Grace got her win back from Roxanne Perez from when they, the initial partnership started. But I think moving on next was because I actually pulled up on my computer. My phone's about to die, so that's why I couldn't use my phone. We have the match that a lot of people, when this partnership was first announced, that a lot of people were calling for, and that was Obafemi and Moose. And my God, that was one of the best big man matches I've seen in quite some time. And I mean, both guys worked their asses off. It started before the match with The Undertaker giving Obafemi a pep talk. And I mean, anytime you get the rub from The Undertaker, that's huge. I think Obafemi is going to be at main roster bound sooner rather than later. But Moose had probably, and I talked with Jovan about this. Jovan's a huge Moose fan and has been for a long time. And we were talking the other day about this, and he said that was probably one of his best matches he's ever seen, probably right up there with Moose when he wrestled Kenny Omega when they had their partnership with TNA and AEW.
Yeah, no, I mean, Obafemi is insanely impressive, and I think that this is a legitimate home run. I think that Oba has main roster staying power. I think that he has the look. I think that his promos are light years ahead of where they should be, given his time in the business. His in-ring work. I feel like every other, not every other time Oba wrestles, I feel like once every 3 or 4 months, I watch a Oba match, and like you said, and I'm like, wow, that's one of the best big man matches I've seen in a long time. And I went on record as saying that what was it, the triple threat Stand and Deliver last year with him, Dijak, and Josh
Briggs. Yeah, that actually when that match won NXT Match of the Year last
Yeah,
year.
it was my favorite match of a stacked WrestleMania weekend.
I remember when we talked about. I remember when we had talked about that, and you had
that. It was so good, and this was also so good. I mean, Oba is so physical. Moose was every bit as physical. Some of the pump kicks he was landing, were looking nasty. They were bumping. It was awesome. And I don't mean to disrespect the women, but I feel like this should have headlined the show. I think that given the
hype.
the hype and the status of the match. I understand why that headlined, and it was a great match. We'll talk about it for a second, in a second. But yeah, no, I mean, to me, this was the best match of the night, and it felt the most like a main event to me.
I actually agree with that. Like, I'm with you. I feel like this match should have main evented, but I get why, like you said, I get why they did what they did because of the ending in that. But I mean, like you said, this was a PLE quality show, and I don't know if there's anything you want to add on to this match. We can move on to the next match, which again, another banger, and that was Javon Evans versus All Ego Ethan Page in that street fight. And I mean, these two just went at it, and just it was insanity. And I mean, Javon Evans is, barring anything like any serious injury, that kid is gonna be is already special, and he's gonna be so special. He's gonna be so just in the spotlight for so many years if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's so young. He's like 20, right?
I believe so. Yes, like his early 20s, if not.
Yeah, no, I mean, he proved a couple things. One, he had the best match of his career, I would say. He picked up the biggest win of his career, as well, I would say. And two, he proved that he can wrestle a more, physical style, doing a gimmick match, with Ethan Page. And we kind of talked about, some folks having, some really amazing runs, going from the E to, AEW land. I think that we have to talk about Ethan Page for a second, and, just what he has meant to NXT, and just how much of a just a veteran face. You know what I mean?
How much of an asset he
yeah, I mean, just a jack of all trades, uber reliable, carries himself, to fit where he's at on the roster. Yeah, I mean, it was an excellent match from both of those guys.
And I just looked online. Javon Evans will be 21 at the end of next month. So
wow.
But yeah, like going into you want to, we talked about a little bit of AEW with the pay-per-view earlier, and we talked about some of the guys that flourished, that went there from the WWE, but someone who kind of went there and for one reason or another did the exact opposite. Like when Ethan Page showed up in AEW after being part of TNA for a number of years, I thought, like, man, this is going to be really good and then just whatever happened, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, he's really, I think, revitalized his career since he's been in NXT. And like we talked about, just that he's a real asset because he's not only someone who keeps himself in really good shape. He's been in the business for so long. He's there. Like, he's also, I believe, kind of working as a coach with some of these younger talents like Javon Evans and all these other people. And I just think he is the definition of a real asset for that company at this point in his career.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that the NXT schedule, in turn has kind of revitalized him. Not having to tour every single week and wrestle, house shows and, do other independents and, what I mean? Things like that. Right. as a, relative to wrestlers, Ethan Page is on the older end, right? I would not say in any way, shape or form he's out of his prime or, he is over the hill, but, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ethan Page is 40.
I will look it up while you're talking. So,
but yeah, no, I mean, I can only imagine that running this same venue for a month straight and just being able to kind of not relax, but take a break in that way. I mean, he seems like he's having a great time. You know,
He's actually only 35.
Oh, is he? Oh, I thought that he was a little bit older than that.
I thought so too, but I mean, he's still young. Like he's
Yeah.
still relatively young.
Yeah, I mean he's younger than Kenny Omega.
Right. So, but great match. Before we go on to the main event of the show, let's take a quick commercial break and hear from our friends at Waukesha Sports Cards. Hey there, it's DDJ from 5 Star Takes, and when I come up to Milwaukee to see the Brewers play, there's one place that I always make it a point to stop at. Waukesha Sports Cards. Come on, let's go inside and check out what they got. Thank you. Thank you. Be sure to stop by one of their 3 locations or go to www.waukeshasportscards.com. Man, I love that place. I'll be seeing a couple of the guys from Waukesha probably this weekend at the Chicago Sports Spectacular. I will be. And actually, here's a name from Blast from the past, Shane, that you might remember. Remember our good friend Brad Marcus?
Oh wow, you're gonna see Brad?
Yeah, Brad's actually there. He's there all weekend. I'm only going tomorrow or Saturday, today, depending on when people listen to this and stuff. But yeah, he's going to be up there. I messaged him a couple days ago because I think the last time I saw him was at the last show they did back in March. And I'm like, hey, are you going to be there? And he's like, yeah, I'll be there all weekend. I said, oh, cool. So we're going to hang out for a little bit and stuff. So it'd be great to see Brad.
Yeah, that's awesome. I miss Brad.
Brad's a good dude. But yeah, no, I'll see a couple of the guys there. Probably see Greg, and I'll probably see Chris, and who else and stuff. But yeah, I love those guys. They're great. I can't wait to go up there more when I start going to the Brewers game opening day in a couple weeks and that. But yeah, let's get on to the main event of the evening, and that was the women's championship title for title match. I've said this, and again, this is nothing personal. I can see why people like Julia, but just for me, it's just I don't really see anything like, oh my God, I think she's amazing. I think she's good. It's just she doesn't do it for me. Now Stephanie Vaquer, I'm all in on her, and I'm so
happy. You feel like Booker T.
I definitely again, as much as I love Booker T as a wrestler, I still could do without him on commentary. But I know I love Stephanie Vaquer. I'm so excited for him. So happy that she's the double champion. Obviously, it sounds like it's due to the fact that apparently Julia's banged up and needs time off to heal. And if that's the case, best wishes for her. Take all the time she needs to heal up because she's, obviously a vital part of what they're doing down in NXT and possibly the main roster. But all in all, I thought it was a good match and that. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean it was a really solid worked match, and I said this at the time, and I maintain this is that it was, to me, it was the worst match on the card, and that's saying a lot about the card. Obviously, I don't think
I get what you're saying there. I mean, I can't disagree with that, but I mean every match, regardless, you could have 10 5-star matches, but one of them arguably has
no. Match. I mean, and if this was such good shoot, I would probably give the main event like a 3.25 or a 3.5, which is really good rating. I just think the match suffered because, like you said, I think that Julia might be banged up, which is very unfortunate because I don't feel like either lady had enough time to build a resume. You know what I mean? To kind of build that repute, with the audience, with a title run, to make a championship versus championship like this feel bigger.
Well, it obviously felt rushed.
Yeah, no, I mean it felt super rushed, and I think because of that it suffered. But I mean, again, I think that both of these ladies are good enough that I don't think that they would ever put on a bad match together. They just unfortunately had this match a little bit rushed and on a really, really wonderful card. So if for some reason you're still interested in watching it after hearing us talk about it, go watch Roadblock. It was a phenomenal show.
And the best part about being able to go and watch it is all you have to do is just go download the CW app from, wherever you get your apps from, the App Store. If you're on, if you have an iPhone, or I believe it's the Android store or whatever. If you have an Android, I can't remember what they call, like where you get the Android users get their ass, or on your TV or whatever smart device. But yeah, definitely go watch it. On the app, it's free. You don't just have to sit through commercials, which just like when you're watching it on live TV and stuff. But definitely go and watch it because, like Shane had mentioned, don't be surprised if this is in talks when it comes to the show of the year. And I mean, right now, really, in terms of every weekly,
free television.
I honestly, I'm with you. I would probably say this is the single best episode of weekly television when it comes to pro wrestling that I've seen all year.
Yeah, no, I mean it reminds me of like 2020 and 2021 AEW when they were doing like the named Fighter Fest and all that, and they still do that. But especially in those times when, they were just doing anything, again, to get viewers. I mean, they put on some crazy free television.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, again, when winter is coming, in the middle of, the 2020 times and, Stang came out. Man, get you going.
Speaking of AEW, we're gonna end the show on talking a little bit about Dynamite because I mean, again, to me, as great as their pay-per-views usually turn out to be, it's just like I don't know if they have just a different team that does the TV versus that does the pay-per-views, because it just feels like there's such a noticeable decline in quality. But I mean, there were a couple of bright spots with AEW. Saw the debut of Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah, which was the match that I watched.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and that was a really good match. I liked it.
Speedball with the kick pads is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, I'm a big Mike Bailey fan.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot too.
Yeah. I feel like if they can figure out how to milk something out of Mike Bailey other than the either the smiley asshole heel or the white meat baby face. Mike Bailey is really, really special.
Yeah.
The way he moves, I love the Ultimo Weapon. I think that's a great move. I don't remember what they called it, but his like spinning crescent kick.
I think that's just what if I remember correct, I think that's what they called it on Dynamite, was just the crescent kick or something.
Oh, okay.
Like that. I mean, if I'm not mistaken.
Just anything that looks like you're kicking somebody's head off is good in my book. Right. And the Beast Mortos is a I think a really nice asset. We're gonna throw that word around today for AEW. Because he's huge. He's a big bowling ball of a man, but you can tell that he's worked with, luchadors, most of his life. So he can work really, really well with the smaller guys.
One other thing, real quick, shout out I want to give, going back to the AEW Revolution pay-per-view, was congrats to Kenny Omega on becoming the international champion. That was another really good match he had with Takeshita. Obviously Takeshita kind of bounced back a little bit on Wednesday when Max Caster, who is supposedly the best wrestler alive, just like Takeshita was like, yeah, no, I'm not having any of this, and just took him out just like that. But yeah, you mentioned the Speedball Mike Bailey. You had Orange Cassidy versus Hetchy Chero or Cero. I don't know how to pronounce his name. In the main event, which, because the big thing was this tournament that they're doing to figure out who is going to challenge Omega at Dynasty. And the sheer fact that right now 2 of the 4 possibilities are Speedball Mike Bailey or Orange Cassidy are great. I know we've got coming up on Collision, I believe it's Ricochet versus Shibata, and then you have Mark Davis versus Mark Briscoe. And I mean, so this ought to be interesting and stuff. I'm intrigued by either possibly seeing Kenny Omega versus Speedball Mike Bailey, or sign me up for Kenny Omega versus Ricochet.
Yeah, no, I feel like Ricochet is the odds-on favorite, right?
Mm-hmm. I would probably agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not going to be Mark or other Mark, certainly. And then what would you say the third match was?
Ricochet and Shibata.
Yeah, I mean, it could always be Orange, right? I mean, or Orange Cassidy has found himself in a spot where they can kind of put him anywhere on the card in AEW, and it'll just make sense. So
right. And then you also had on Dynamite, Tony Storm cut a really great promo talking about the end of her rivalry with Mariah May and the Hollywood ending, only to be attacked by who appears to be her next challenger, and that is the imposing Megan Bayne, which should be interesting. Christian I love the promo with Christian Cage and Nick Wayne backstage. How Nick Wayne was basically calling Christian out on the shit, and then Christian pushed him, and then Mama Wayne stepped in, and basically Christian said, watch yourself, or you're going to be back working at that Waffle House or whatever, and that kind of put her back in her place and stuff. But I mean, it was really more about a couple of promos and that, but again, just Dynamite, it's weird. It's just like they have such a really good pay-per-view, but just the follow-up sometimes just leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's gotten to the point where, I mean, there are times where I don't watch Dynamite because I don't feel like it. I mean, there are times where I don't want to watch, I don't necessarily feel like watching Raw, but I will still sit and watch Raw, and normally I'm, at least not mad that I did so.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, there have been a couple weeks recently I've been like, AEW is gonna make me mad, so I'm just
why even bother?
Yeah, like I'm just not gonna watch it. I'll read the Cliff Notes version.
All right, well, we're just a little bit over an hour, which is actually a lot longer than I thought we were gonna go, but we kind of got going and just kept on going and stuff. So I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but Shane, you got any last words?
Have a good day, everybody.
I'm honestly shocked. Oh, wait a minute. We still are recording.
What? Am I a puppet? You want to pull my strings? I have nothing to say about she who shall not be named at this current second.
Sorry, bro. Legends of the Ring Sting, man. This is a great figure. Old school figure. Looks great. It's Sting! Old school Sting from WCW. Guys, you know us. 3/4 of the Shooting Shit team. And we're here with a listener just like you guys. This is Jimmy from Super Powers Comics.
My friend of almost 20 years. He's known him since you were 12.
If you know people in Chicago, you probably know Dennis because he knows half the town, of course. But shooters, if you need action figures, comics, wrestling memorabilia, we just showed you Sting. Superpowers Comics will put up their QR code so you can get a good look at everything they have coming. Give it a shot, shooters. Get your superpowers on and get your comics from our friend Jimmy, who listens just like you.
Save 25% on your first order when you use the code 5STAR.
Attention wrestling fans and fans of Shootin' Shit podcasts. You can now be one of the cool kids by going to ProWrestlingTees.com and buy the official Shootin' Shit t-shirt. Buy it now and be there at ringside.
This episode and all episodes of 5-Star Takes are now available on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@5-Star Takes. Be sure to like and subscribe. Get all of your 5-Star Takes news and updates by going to our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/SHOOTINSHT. And as always, thanks for watching.